So, I learned classical saxophone way before I learned jazz saxophone. In the classical tradition, you most typically start learning through books. Nearly everything is learned through reading sheet music. When I started taking jazz lessons in college, I felt that jazz books were a bit trickier to integrate. You know, I'd read a book, but it felt like none of it had any effect whatsoever on my improvisation. And it kind of makes sense, right? If all you had to do was read sheet music to become a great improviser, then all classical musicians would be amazing improvisers. But that's not really the case. Fast forward many years later, now I feel like I have a much better on how to actually use books to improve at improvisation. Let me just preface this by saying reading books are not a replacement to learning tunes and solos by ear, which is arguably the most important process in learning jazz. But books can help tremendously if you use them strategically to serve your needs. Charlie Parker himself read through books.
I heard a record of yours a couple of months ago that somehow I've missed up to date, and I heard about a 2-bar quote from the Close A book. It was like an echo from home.
Oh. Yeah. Well, it was all done with books, you know. Naturally, it wasn't done with mirrors. This time it was done with books.
When have you ever heard someone say, wow, I was a really great improviser. Then I started reading books, and now I'm really bad? Never. If you take a look at my bookshelf here, you can actually see that I've gone through a ton of books through the years. A lot of these actually have been through jazz lesson videos, like this one here. Here's another one. Here's one more. This one made me aware of the term Phrygian dominant. These all have helped me tremendously. It honestly still doesn't even feel real that I'm working with them now. It is such an honor. We actually just released my new book entitled 25 Etudes Over Jazz Standards. And I'd like to use this book as an opportunity to show you 4 ways that I genuinely believe in to get the most bang for your buck from a book to improve at jazz improvisation. So the first way is using a jazz book to acquire more 2-5-1 language. As you probably already know, 2-5-1s are the most typical chord progression in all of jazz standards. They're almost literally everywhere. For example, let's look at the etude over Stella. There's a minor 2-5 here, major 2-5 here, 2-5-1 here, minor 2-5-1, backdoor 2-5-1, major 2-5 to 3-1, then a minor 2-5 to 1 altered, then 2-5, 2-5, 2-5-1. When soloing over tunes, it's really great to already have a lot of 2-5-1 language stored in your tank. You could make your own, steal some from a transcription, or steal some from a book. When reading through a jazz etude book, haphazardly sight read through multiple pages and keep an ear out for any 2-5s that really catch your attention. Each time you find one that you really like, jot it down in a manuscript book, or record yourself playing it and store it as a voice memo. Even if by the end of the whole book, you only enjoyed 10 out of 200 2-5-1s. That's still several months of material to work out these bad boys in all 12 keys, and then work them into your improvisation. The second way I find to really use a book to your advantage is to use it to build finger technique. Let's take a look at one of the harder etudes, one with a lot of eighth notes like Cherokee here. Let's look at the bridge. So first I would learn it slow just to make sure all the notes are completely accurate. Then I'll work it up till I find the fastest tempo that I can 100% confidently play it. That felt good, but I think I can go a bit faster. So I'm just going to keep going till I find it. Alright, Alright, so for me that was 250 beats per minute on the metronome beats 2 and 4. Now let me find a nearby tempo that I know is outrageously way too fast for me to try to work up to today. Okay, 300 beats per minute on beats 1 and 3. Okay, so a lot of notes were there, but a lot of them were out of time. It's very messy in a lot of places, very uneven. So now I'm gonna work in this tempo and practice little chunks in this tempo. And for each chunk, I'm really going to focus, how can I play each of these chunks with complete evenness? I'll do 3-note groupings. And I'll try all these other rhythms to try to do perfectly at this tempo. Alright, so I feel like I learned a lot from that. Now obviously, I'm not going to be able to play this whole thing perfectly at this tempo today. But remember the tempo from before, 250 beats per minute? It's going to be a lot easier now. Way easier. And not only that, I bet you I can actually work a little bit past this point. So let me try 260 beats per minute. Way easier. Let's try 270. Really easy. So when you have the sheet music to look right in front of you, trying these chunking exercises really get your fingers fired up, and it just makes everything you already know and play easier to play. This, in my opinion, is a huge advantage with books because you're readily available to push the boundaries of your technique whenever you want. When learning a solo or a new pattern purely by ear, often it takes at least a few days for your ears and memory to really soak it in first. Then you can finally work it all up to your upper current natural technical limits. But when reading, since all the music is right there, you can start that process right off the bat. Just to clarify, finger workouts and finger technique is not alone going to make you a great improviser. But the better your technique is, the faster you can learn those blistering lines that people like Charlie Parker play, or Michael Brecker, or Chris Potter. And the more confidently you'll be able to play your own fast lines within your solos. The third way you can use a book to maximize your shed gains is by using the etudes as a guinea pig to practice time exercises. Rhythm section players love playing with horn players with a great sense of time. For the longest, I've made the mistake of thinking, oh, a good sense of time is just staying on beat with a metronome, right? I can do that. But it's when you take away beats and or put beats in different spots, then you are really exposed to your internal sense of time. This can make even the easiest of etudes all of a sudden extremely difficult. Let me show you some of these metronome exercises that will really practice your internal sense of time. We'll use the first 7 bars of the Softly as in a Morning Sunrise etude to demonstrate. First, the most standard level, the metronome on all 4 quarter notes per measure. I'll do it at 135 beats per minute. Pretty straightforward. The next most common in jazz anyway is when the metronome is on beats 2 and 4 only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now, let's turn the difficulty up a notch. Let's try that on just beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Already much more tricky. Let's make it even harder. Let's make the beat on the and of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 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 1, 2, 3. So trying that there, on the and of 3, on the and of 2, on the and of 1, really difficult. My brother Zach, a drummer, works this on an E in the Us. I am not there yet. I'll give you one more really hard one. Put the quarter note on every 3 beats. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's try it. That one really haunts me, but it's so fun when it's really starting to happen. As you can see here, when you have the etude already written out for you, it allows you to sort of autopilot that and use it as your playground to practice various metronome exercises. And the final way I'll share with you is memorizing etudes, or at least sections of etudes. Memorizing an etude is like a super vitamin. It tackles many things at once. One, when you memorize something, it's stored somewhere deep inside your subconscious. You'd never know when a line from an etude that you memorized months ago all of a sudden shows up in your playing at a gig or concert. Two, those lines will always stay somewhere in your memory. So whenever you're transcribing a solo that has something really similar, you end up being able to transcribe much faster because it's relating to something already established in your memory. And three, if you've never learned an entire solo by ear before, then memorizing an etude is a great precursor to try before taking on a transcription. Chad Lefkowitz-Brown told me he first read and memorized around 15 already written out transcriptions before he felt ready enough to transcribe by ear. Now, multiple Grammys and touring in dozens of countries later, I'm very grateful for his mentorship. Alright everyone, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, if you want to download our new resource, you can use code NG5 for $5 off. Alrighty, thank you guys for 198,000 subscribers. Wow, have a good day.